Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris Man, and as always, I thank you guys for coming to my channel. I'm not quite sure at this point what I'm going to title this video, but by the time you're watching it, have the appropriate title. It's based on a comment that I just received, and I've mentioned this many times before on my channel. You know, no two people play the same. Play like you. I did a cover of Bill Withers' "Use Me Up," and the viewer left this comment. He said, "It's so difficult to play like Bill." And my response was, don't play like Bill. Play like you playing Bill's song. You know, no two people play the same. And it's not a hard song to mimic his style. But what most people don't realize that are not musicians, professional musicians, or no professional musicians that you talk shop with, a whole lot of stuff goes into a professional recording. Now, I'm not talking about this basement stuff. Your cousin got a studio in his basement, and I'm sure his stuff sounds pretty good. But 40, 50 years ago, there was nobody in their basement doing what the professionals did. So the professionals were the only ones that did it, and they did it well, and they still do it well. And I'm going to tell you something about that song for you non-musicians. Just like with most professional recordings, a whole lot of stuff goes into getting that sound. If it was that easy, everybody be at home cranking out platinum records with platinum sounding songs, you know. But that's just not the reality, you know, because again, all praise to the people at home that do a good job, but it doesn't compare to you go to this big facility and they got a 64-track board, you know, board so big you can barely get it in a room. You can't get it in a small room. The EQs, the compressions, all the things that they do, the multi-layering, the separation of the drums, the effects on each individual piece in the piece, you know, and it could be over 100 pieces. You know, they break down the drums into 8 separate tracks and put the snare on one, kick on the other, hi-hat on one, open hi-hat on another. It's a very daunting task for those who have no idea how that's put together, you know, and that's understandable. You're just a lover of music. You know nothing about, you know, EQ and overdubbing and, you know, syncing the SIP track, none of that stuff, you know, that's foreign to you. And the one thing about that particular song, like most of them, you know, that Bill Withers song, when you listen to the guitar parts, and I do put an S on there, parts, it's not just Bill Withers playing one guitar. There's like at least 2. Sometimes I think I hear 3. Now, I didn't go back today to reference to be 100% sure, but I'm 100% sure that it was an overdub, or I think there was another guy that plays with him that might have been playing along with him. You can hear it. There are 2 guitars, and they're playing it so well that it sounds like one big guitar, but there's at least 2 guitars going. So, of course, you're not going to sound like Bill playing that song unless you got another guy playing the same parts or the other parts, if it was an ad lib and not necessarily they just stack the same riff on top of each other, which probably, I don't think so. There's some other stuff that's going on with the other guitar. And again, the average listener of music don't understand that, don't know it. You hear something, you think it's just like one guitar. Same with vocals. They stack them. It's called multing. You know, a good example of that is go watch the movie La Bamba when they were trying to get Ricky Valens. I forgot which song it was. Let's Go maybe, or one of them. I would think it was Let's Go. And the producer had him sing that song about 100 times. And then they took about 3 of those and stacked them out, 3 of the best out of the 100 and stacked them. That's how you get that sound. You know, you're not going to replicate that sound sitting in your living room singing, you know, with just to record it. It ain't going to happen, you know. So sometimes I do these types of videos to, I guess enlighten just the listener of music. You know, there's a lot of stuff going to a multi-platinum hit, you know. I was listening to, and I keep this in my car, I listen to this song almost every day when I'm outside driving or going somewhere. The Good Girls, they came out in, I think, the 90s. They were 3 beautiful, I think it was 4 of them, beautiful young women, and they could sing. And what I loved about them was they were kind of the female version of Boyz II Men. You know, they had that collegiate, preppy look, college kids dress code and stuff. And they were like the female version. And what I loved about them and Boyz II Men, that they had a really clean cut image. The pants sagging, frowning for the picture on the CD, like, you angry with the world, and you look like somebody that you don't want to see outside at night. You walking down the street, you don't want to see these guys, you don't want to see these women. And their second album, I think Dallas Austin produced a lot of that, and he's a they talk about Dre and all these other Dallas Austin. I take him over to any of those guys any day, because this guy is phenomenal. I mean, he is a child prodigy genius, and very down to earth guy. I seen an interview with him recently, and he's a multimillionaire. He was a millionaire in his 20s. He was responsible for one of the guys responsible for that Poison field. I think he was one of the first people that came up with the concept, because I'm trying to replicate that on my drums. Like, I can't get it because the drum, that particular snare is just going. And what he did was, most of those guys they took the same snare and put the same snare on multiple pads to do that instead of do this. Because when you do this, you can't get that. I was like, that's genius, Little simple things like that. But a lot goes into, The Good Girls. I listen to that CD, like I said, that CD every day. And I got a hold to the first album, because I said, man, this is the second album. So I got a hold of the first album, and I could hear the difference in production. Now, the songs on the first one were almost as strong as the songs on the second one, but the production was much, much better. They spent much, much more money to get this, because the first album, the production, audible-wise, it sounded small and contained. They did this probably on maybe a 16 track. But when they did their second album, and I guess, I forget what record company was it, they realized how talented these young women were. It's like, okay, we got to step this up for the sophomore album. We got to hit them harder. And you can hear the difference in the production. And I'm not saying it's bad. You can just hear the difference. You just hear the difference. So I thought I would just post this video as far as to kind of give an idea to the simple listener of music. Not the musicians, because you guys know that. But a lot of stuff goes into getting that sound. And you're not going to replicate that sound with one guitar. Like I said, they're multi overdubs. And that's common. That's very common when you're doing professional recording, to get that big sound, So until next time, I'm going to sign off. Take care.